had many different experiences in your life. You've travelled far and wide. You're a business consultant and writer, and you've written a book which has a very intriguing title. It's The Highs and Lows in Britain, Germany and Spain, a culture trip like no other. Now, why did you decide to write this book?
It's because it's literally 10 years, a decade since I've been here, and it was a milestone. So the 10-year itch got to me, and I thought, this is a great idea. And because I'm living in a place that's very high, and I've got a great view of the area, it's like giving me a view of my life, time to look over my life. So that's why I came to that title. And because of the three cultures, Britain, Germany and Spain, they all mix together, and it's the perfect title.
And the original title was Highs and Lows in Britain, Germany and Spain, a Blackbird's Journey Through Europe. Now, that's an interesting title too, but you decided to change that. What made you change it?
To be honest with you, I thought it was being funny at the beginning, because I'm black, because my surname is Dove. I thought I was being tongue-in-cheek. But then, to be serious, I thought really it's a little bit limiting, and people might think, oh, is she going to just bang on about being black? So I thought I'd make it much more of a culture, a wider culture thing.
And now the book is in two parts, and the first concentrates on travelling to Brazil. And you said that was to sort of like take a look at your life. Was there something momentous that happened that made you go there?
To be honest with you, I'm born and brought up in London and England. I'd had enough. I'd literally had enough of my life in England. And at 42, I'd got that sort of, the time when you're looking at what have you done in your life, and I didn't want to continue as it was. So while I was in Brazil, I'd had a great time at the carnival. I'd done a great travel around, and I did what you call in consulting a SWOT analysis. Looked at my strengths, my weaknesses, the opportunities and the threats. And I was having a relaxing time in the Amazon. I'd had a lovely swim, and I thought, hang on a minute, Chris, you love Spain, go back to Europe. And I rushed back to England and started to plan to come to Spain then. That's what it was.
And apparently you did move in government circles. Very interesting, I would imagine. Tell us about that part of your life.
Well, that part of my life was very much to do with my work. It was quite dry work. I'd started off in advertising, had a very, very exciting life working in that field. And then I decided to retrain. I did a European business diploma. While I'd done my diploma, I was on holiday. I got a phone call to say, Christine, quickly hurry back. They want you to go and work in Brussels, the government. And I was sent to work for the Government Office for London, the Department of Trade and Industry, writing really, really quite dull reports and lots of planning and policy work. And I was in Brussels, so we were doing this government work, but it was quite serious. So that was the government circles that I was in.
And so, anything interesting about that time besides looking at these government reports?
To be honest with you, when you think of Brussels and the European Commission, this work, it is very dry. And we're hearing a lot about it more, and people either, you want to switch off, and it's quite, but that's the one side of it. So what I did was, what people don't know, and this comes more in the book, is that there's a very much a work hard, play hard syndrome. So people, you do all these this quite dull work, but then there's a very, very interesting underground party scene in there. So that comes through as well.
So there's another side to all the government work. Now, just perhaps to mention that the book is in 2 instalments. So perhaps, tell us about the first instalment, just briefly, and the difference between the first and the second one.
Yes. Well, what happened was, when I wrote the first part was concentrating more on me. Okay. And because it's like a memoir, and it is a life story, but because there are so many other people that are involved, I wanted to expand it. So the first part is all about leaving England, coming to Spain, the great people that I've met here, the great life that I'm living that side. And then, because I didn't want it to be so serious, the second part is more about the work side and about the sort of the challenges, should I put it that way, the highs and the lows. So there's highs and lows in both parts, but the second part is a little bit more about the challenges of getting work, the challenges of actually living, the financial aspects, some of the things that people don't really think about when you first want to move away. More of the nitty-gritties of the realities of day-to-day life.
You arrived in Spain 11 years ago. What attracted you to the area?
Well, as I say, I like this. I'm a sun worshipper for a start, and it's cliche, but the sun drew me to the Costa del Sol. Okay, but really, because I like the influence of the culture. It's got a very, very rich and famous Andalusian history, and I must admit, I love the paella, and I absolutely adore seafood. That was the main things that came. And on my wish list was to live near the sea, have the blue sky and the fantastic mountains and fantastic food.
And you went to Mijas village, and on your first day in the village, you met your other half, Tim. Obviously a momentous occasion for you both. How did it happen?
I moved to Mijas my very first evening. I wanted to relax, just unpack, get myself ready. But friends I'd met insisted I went out with them for drinks and dinner that evening. They wouldn't take no for an answer. So the very first bar we went into, we were sitting down having our drinks, and I saw at the entrance door, the back of a lovely blonde-haired, muscly guy. And I stopped. I instantly lost interest in my friends and had my eye on this guy all the time. When he came back into the bar, he took absolutely no notice of me, went to sit with his friend, but his friend started chatting to me. And I leaned over and I said to his friend, "I'm not interested in you. I want to talk to your friend," who was my other half. And as it was, Tim said, and I said, "Look, hello, introduced myself. Can I give you my telephone number?" "No, I've got a girlfriend an Irish girlfriend." That we left it at that. Me and my friends went to another bar, and sure enough, Tim turned it up again. So we thought, this is fate, and I hooked him.
Tim, tell us your version of that first fateful meeting with Chris.
The first meeting with Chris. Yeah. I go every day for jogging and go in the bar for one beer every day. And then Chris come in and talk to me, and they say they will have I will have her phone number, and I say no. I have no interest in this time. 1 week later, I say Chris, and then we talk. Yeah, and after this time, we saw every time together.
And what attracted you to Mijas village in the first place?
Well, it was absolutely the most beautiful place. After Venice, I must admit, to me, it's the most beautiful place I'd ever seen. Driving slowly up the hill, going up there, I knew it had a very, very, very interesting place for tourists. And I'd heard that Mijas Council did more for tourists than any other part of the Costa del Sol, even more than Marbella. And that was because I loved that very much the tourist angle. That's why I went there, specifically there.
And when you came to Spain, obviously you were young, you'd be looking for work. How did you find things in those days?
Well, again, because I was looking for work in the tourism and the hospitality industry, I thought that would be the great place to come here. But my age didn't worked against me a little bit. I hadn't really thought that at that age it would be more difficult. So there were some challenges, and as well, you know, not speaking Spanish, I thought mistakenly that speaking English would help me with all the nationalities, but not realizing that I really did need Spanish. So it was quite challenging at first to get work.
And why were you in Mijas in the first place? Did you live there?
No, friends of me have a house in Mijas, and they go for holiday, and they talk to me, but I can look for this house in this time. Yeah. And then I look 3 weeks in Mijas of this house. Yeah, and this is it.
And why did you choose Spain to live? Why did you choose this area?
I come for holiday in the 80s, 90s years, and in 80s and 90s. In 2002, a friend of me had a bar or a steakhouse in a port here in Fuengirola, and say, ob I have interest to work for him. And this is it. Then I come to Spain.
And now you took Chris to see your family in Hamburg in Germany one Christmas, and there was a little bit of stress because at first your father didn't take to Chris, did he? Tell us about that.
My dad, he's no direct Nazi, aber yeah, he's a little bit different in the mind. Yeah, and then I come with Chris, and Chris is black, and the mind is,
Closed.
Yeah, he closed, yeah. Then he say Chris, he say nothing. He say hello, and then going. And in the evening we have dinner. Then he talk to Chris, small talk, very small. Then he ask Chris for one Jägermeister. And Chris say yes. And from this time he love Chris, every time.
And you celebrated your 10th anniversary of being together with Chris. Did you do anything really special? Did you go out for a special meal?
Yeah, we go back to Mijas in the first bar. I say Chris, and they say me. In this bar, we go on the same places for dinner and fiesta.
So you recreated the first time that you met. And how did that feel?
For all the time is so lovely time with Chris together. For this I stay here in Spain, for Chris.